So we have our final guest, and it's two young ladies that opened a bookstore recently in
Yay.
Avondale Estates, Georgia, which I'm assuming is a suburb of Atlanta. And they named their store a small place bookstore. It's an independent bookstore. Um, and welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Glad you have your name there. I think someone has
We have a little bit of feedback.
is it a
Are y'all in the
device?
same room?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think somebody may have a device on.
Yeah.
Okay, you just need to turn the sound off on the device. Um, but I'm glad you have your name so we know who's who. So Jasmine and Enkeshi, is that how it's pronounced? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to I don't like to mangle people's names because I don't like people to mangle mine. And my real name is my whole name, I should say real name. My whole name is Guinevere. People butcher it. They look at it and they it spelled like it sounds, but people look at it and they freeze up, you know. They don't know what to say. So I try to get people's names right because you know your name is your name.
Appreciate
So anyway, welcome to the show and congratulations on having your bookstore. Now, Jasmine, what does your shirt say? I see read on
it.
there. Okay, read,
So
read.
read, write, revolt.
Oh, okay, all right.
Love that.
It's one of our sweatshirts that we have in the store, and it's been a great seller when the weather gets cold, and it reminds people of the importance of reading. So thought I'd
Okay,
wear it tonight.
okay, that's great. And now how do you all know each other?
Cash, you want to take it?
Jazz, that's your lane.
That's my lane. Okay, it's my lane. So, and Keshi has been my friend almost 20 years. We attended the same college together, Agnes Scott College in Decatur, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta.
Okay.
And our last names were both T's before we got married. We both had T last names. So one of the first things we did as first years where we had to line up, I think I was right in front of you in Keshi. And we developed a friendship over the course of our college years. But we've been friends and sisters since then, have experienced a lot of life milestones with one another, changing cities and kids and families and new jobs and all of the things. So it's pretty much like my family at this point.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is. Okay, and you know, long-lasting friendships are to be treasured because there are a lot of short-term so-called friends, but the ones that are there for the long haul are the ones you can count. And but sometimes people that you know for a long time, sometimes you all can have a misunderstanding. That happens. And sometimes the breach is you know, healed, but sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I have one really good friend that um you know, we had a sort of falling out. It wasn't on me. Well, it wasn't my choice, let me say that. But it lasted for 10 years and then you know, we
Mm.
reconnected.
Oh, wow.
And now, you know, it's back like it was before.
Good.
Mhm. So anyway, now what made you all decide to open a bookstore?
So this bookstore grew out of different projects that we were working on separately, but supporting each other through. So I started a bookstore in Knoxville a few years ago um, with the community there, and then I moved back to Atlanta about 2 years ago. And so when I moved back to Atlanta, sort of kind of bringing this bookstore world that I had been a part of for so many years that I really loved, couldn't part with it. And so I was doing a lot of pop-up bookshops, and Jasmine and Zuby, who was another one of our close friends from college, had a fashion business that they had started, a fashion brand called Interwoven. And so Jazz was also doing pop-ups. Zuby lives in Ghana. And so Jazz was sort of holding down the sales front in the States. And so when I moved back to Atlanta, we were sort of popping up together, sharing the costs and sort of collaborating and, working it out together so we could support each other and make it possible. And about last year around this time, after we did a long-term pop-up, we kind of had a conversation about being too tired and too old to be, carrying all of these loads all the time and around the city. So we decided that we would start looking for something permanent, a more permanent situation. And so we started looking at places to rent to open a store. And so I made a vision board in January of last year, or January, February, something along those lines. And we got the space, I think at the end of February, early March, something like that, and opened in April. So we're coming up on our first year.
Well,
Oh,
congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
what types of books do you offer in your store?
Primarily Black books, all genres, different age groups, so a little bit of everything, from African reads and Caribbean reads to cookbooks, fiction, nonfiction, lots of children's books. We both have young children, and so they definitely they advocate for spaces for themselves in whatever we do. And so, there's a kids area. But yeah, we carry a little bit of everything. We get a lot of requests for independent authors, and because our store is so tiny, we only have 226 square feet. So it's a room. Um, so we do support independent authors by doing book signings in the store, and we'll carry, at least 5 at a time. But because of limited shelf space, we don't have a ton of them. But we're always thinking about ways to support independent authors as well, because there's several of them in our community, people that we know personally, and then people that sort of reach out to us through different networks.
Oh, that's so I'm sorry, were you about to say something? I'll
I
wait.
was gonna I was gonna add, Rhonda, that
Go right
because
ahead.
our space is so small, we have a lot of fun choosing which books that we carry, and then
Okay.
Keshi has a lot of fun doing that part. But some of the things we carry are things that we like to read or things that have been impactful for us, and our customers help inform what's on the shelves as well. We look at various lists to kind of get a sense of that, and we try to be attentive also to books that have been banned, Black books that have been banned, and providing space for that as well. But when people come
Also,
in,
like books that we grew
yeah,
up reading, like
we grew up
we
reading.
have a lot of like reading rainbow books, books that are not necessarily the newest things that are coming off the press, but some older backlist books as well. And because the space is small, you never know what you will find any time that you come in. So that's kind of cool too. It's like a treasure trove for buyers who come in and just kind of happen upon something because that's what we have in at the moment.
hmm So, what made you pick Avondale Estates as opposed to Atlanta proper?
Um, Several reasons. The easiest one is that that's where we found a place that we could afford, um, and really we were able to afford our space because it was so small, right? I don't know if you all are in Atlanta or not, but real estate in Atlanta is not cheap, especially commercial real estate. And so, finding a place that we can afford. We both have full-time jobs, so this is not our primary source of income, and likewise, we're not open all week long. So we knew that we needed to do something that we could afford to sustain ourselves and sustain the work while the store grows. And so, the overhead cost was a major consideration, and we found the space that we found in Avondale Estates because, like I said, it's such a small space, and so in grand scheme of like per square footage, it's pretty high, but because it's just 226 of them, it was doable. It's kind of like it's really exciting how we come from traditions, in families, Black folks who make $1 out of 15 cents, and that
Right,
is
right.
what we did in the store. People are often surprised by what they find when they come in the doors. They see a small place and they come in and like, it is a small place,
It
and
is
then
a
they're
small
like,
place. It is a
it's
small
so
Why
place.
is it a
cute,
small
it's
place?
it's pretty, yeah. So they're surprised by the size, but they're also surprised by how well the space is curated as well.
So does that make trying to have events a challenge? Like for instance, book signings or book club events. Are you able to host any of those?
Go ahead, Jazz.
Yeah. So it's been an exciting challenge, Rhonda. And we've been able to be creative and resourceful with what we have. So in the space where we are, we share it with technically four other businesses. And they are primarily not there on the weekends, but we are there on the weekends. And
Mm.
so we have outdoor space that, because we are in Atlanta,
Oh, that's a
most
good
times
idea.
the temperature is mild. We're able
Yeah.
to put out tents and open the doors and extend our space to make it more welcoming. We curated a little reading garden area, so to have
Mm-hmm.
like some outdoor seatings. And one of our neighbors had been very supportive of us and allowing us to use her space, which is about twice as large, to host one of the larger events. We hosted Arthur Tricia Hershey of the Knot Ministry a few weeks ago over the Christmas holiday. And it was one of the larger things that we did, but we've been able to just be resourceful and use what we have. Um, and also recognizing that our sweet spot are smaller, curated events for now, at least. So,
Yeah.
and living into that, kind of owning that's who we are.
Well,
That's the type of experience we want to provide, where you can really um, talk with an author and connect
right.
with their friends or their people and really get a
Well,
sense of the heart behind it.
what I'm hearing is creativity, and I'm hearing networking. Networking not just with authors and book readers, but with your neighbors, because you're sharing that
Absolutely.
space with other businesses. And because you have established a relationship with, which is what else I'm hearing,
Mhm.
you've been able to kind of share spaces a little bit and there and help each other out a little.
Absolutely. And, that's definitely what, community is really important to us and what we're trying to do in the bookstore. And as much as we are, we try to be in community with the people around us, like our neighbors in this building, we're also encouraging our customers to sort of be in community with each other. And so, the types of events that we do have and will
Mm-hmm.
have are the sort of intimate experiences where people can connect with each other,
Yes,
on a
yes.
deeper level. It's not just, doing it because it's trendy or because it's, the thing to do, but like, we come with our true selves and we meet each other where we are and, have deep, meaningful connections and conversations.
Wonderful.
Well, it sounds like you all thought through how you were going to open, because a lot of people, they make the mistake of, when they get a brick and mortar store, they take on too much overhead. And entrepreneurs tend to be optimistic, and I
We
do
have
as
to be optimistic.
we do. And I've had to rein in my optimism over the years. I'm still optimistic, but I had to a dose of realism, because I've been uh, self-employed most of my adult life, from age 25. But we had a brick and mortar store for 10 years, so I understand having one. And we sold a lot online though, so we started off only online, and then we moved into a space where we were shipping, but it had a storefront. It was funny,
Mhm.
and we didn't even use the storefront. Then we said, you know what? We should turn it into a store. We're here anyway. So that's what we ended up doing. And so we had revenue from both people coming in, but we weren't solely dependent on people coming in. But
Right.
even with that, we we had too much overhead. We didn't start off that way, but they kept raising the rent, and so
Right.
just be mindful that that could happen. And then
Absolutely.
um, and then everything became more expensive. Then we had employees. We had so everything. It was all of it. And then we got a smaller space for a while. We tried that in the same strip.
Mm-hmm.
Cut our space. But we had the store for 10 years, so we were
Yeah.
we were there for a long time. And it was me and my husband working
Yeah.
full time. That was
Yeah.
our only source of income. So um, you know,
Yeah.
God is good. And
All the
so,
time.
we always have our ear to the ground for the next thing. We were never afraid to pivot or make a move, and you have to be able to do that otherwise. So that's just my 2 cents in terms of, but you all started off right, because some people start off with a big space. And a lot of times when you first open a bookstore, a black bookstore, I don't know about other ones, but I've seen this trend among black bookstores. When they first open, they have a huge um, show of support
Yeah.
when they first open. But it's not the grand opening that sustains you and helps you pay your bills. It's the day to day, week to week
Right.
traffic and sales, not just traffic, not just browsers, not just people coming in and looking around. That you don't get any money from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I congratulate you all on starting. You all said you both have full-time jobs. That's good. You're not dependent on the store for your income. Um,
Yeah.
because that can be a challenge. And
Absolutely.
but most people don't do it with both the husband and wife working full time in it. Normally, one of them is working somewhere else for the benefits.
Yeah, and
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good point that that Gwen is making. I mean, you both have full-time jobs and you're running a brick and mortar business. Do you guys ever have a chance to sleep?
I thought about that too.
Girl, that's the question.
I slept this holiday. I said, Enkeshi, are you resting? I binge watched some of my favorite childhood uh movies this holiday. But
Like a
yeah,
Christmas
that's a
story?
challenge. That's a challenge. I'll share this. I'll share this though. And I think um and Keshi and I are probably in alignment about it. But when we decided to open a small place bookshop, I can Keshi shared she did something similar in Knoxville. It was a community space with a bookstore a part of it, and she was clear that this was different. It's Atlanta, it's different. It's also with me, so it's a different experience. But we told ourselves from the beginning that we want this to be a place of joy, and we
Yeah.
want this to be an extension of our sisterhood and our friendship. And if it's not feeling like joy, then we need to reevaluate while we're doing it. So, in our big dreams, we'll have a multi-million dollar bookstore, in Atlanta. That's our big dream. But we also recognize that baby steps, small steps, doing things bit by bit is
Yes.
is a very smart way to build. And we're not interested in sacrificing our well-being at the expense of
Amen.
it. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's a dance. And we do that. We have our monthly planning meetings, like, all right, what do we have the capacity for this month? And we have sales goals, and we have very pragmatic things we have to attend to, but trying to keep the heart of why we're doing it, and letting the
Mhm.
bookshop be a place of hope and be a safe space for us. Like when I was there on Sunday, it felt like a respite for me. It felt like a place to kind of like decompress, and like it felt like a restful place. And
Yes.
it may not
Absolutely.
always feel that way, but I think that's part of why that's helping to sustain us and why we want to do it. So
For sure. And I think like yeah, like this last stretch, like up until the holiday, I feel like we were feeling it, right? So we knew that we needed to rest during this holiday break. And we talked about like not letting the hype of the holidays like overextend us. So trying
Yeah.
to do some extra hours because we're home or open for this day or that day. Even though the temptation was there and we saw potential, we also had to remind ourselves not to do the most, right? One thing that, Jazz mentioned about the stages, that's something that I will never forget. When I started the bookstore in Knoxville, Jazz told me, you can do everything you want to do in life, but it may be in stages. And that resonated with me. And we did that bookstore in stages. We started renting a space to the point we bought a space, right? So that one grew over time. And that's the same idea that we bring into this space. And the other thing that I want to mention too is that we have support of our families, right? We are not doing this alone by any means, right? Like my husband, Jazz's dad, our husbands, the kids, my parents, her parents, our siblings, everybody, and beyond, right? Friends come in and do things like take pictures for us. I mean, so we met friends at the bookstore that are showing up for us, right? So we do have the support of our community, and I think because it's not this major ordeal, people can kind of pop in as they can, as as time allows or as their resources allow, and pop out. And so it's really, and we keep up with Black bookstore world nationally, right? And we see all the things that are happening in some of the stores that to us are like models that are like winning, and then you hear like they're shutting down, and that's just so heartbreaking to see, right? And so it's this, it is a dance, and we have to figure out how to make sure that we have what we need. We have growing kids that we don't want to miss important moments for, right? So we work with each other. Like, I need a weekend, you take this weekend, I take this weekend, we flip flop Saturday, Sunday. So we're figuring it out. It's not easy, and it doesn't always align. But the good thing about this being built on our friendship and us valuing our friendship as much as we value these economic endeavors, I think it's allowing us to sort of figure out, what works and how to make it work for us, so that this maintains the sense of joy that we started it with.
I love that.
Now, where's Avondale Estates in relationship to Atlanta? Is it north, south, east, or west?
It's east.
So east. Are you familiar with Decatur, Gwen?
I've heard of
Decatur.
Yeah.
Decatur Book Festival. So it's like east, kind of southeast, east of Atlanta, and Avondale Estates is like wrestled right, a little bit further east of Decatur, between like Decatur, Stone Mountain. So it's definitely Metro Atlanta, but kind of like that eastern part of.
We both live in Decatur, so it's right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
it's very close to Agnes Scott, and you talked a little bit about the Agnes Scott college roots, and so yeah.
Is Agnes Scott? How big a school is that? It's a small school. Is it a liberal arts school?
Liberal arts college, around 1,000.
About 1,000 undergrads and a couple hundreds of grads.
Okay. So yeah, smaller school. So yeah, it's easier to get to know people. It's not a HBCU though, is it?
It's not.
No, it's predominantly women's college, or historically women's college.
Oh, okay.
But there's a strong Black population on our campus, and with students of color in general.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you all have been able to maintain your friendship and the business at the same time.
And I'm glad that it sounds like you went into your business with intentionality, and you also went in with your eyes open. You knew what to expect. And and just as Gwen was saying earlier, often entrepreneurs get really bright-eyed and idealistic, and they want to do all these big things. But the fact that you went into your business with your eyes open, you were intentional about how you were going to use your space, and then you're sticking with that. That says a lot. And I love the fact that you are trying to keep your work-life balance, because that's hard, having a full-time job and a brick and mortar business, and you have families.
And you got small kids.
Yes.
Now, we had one daughter. Well, we still have her, but she was a little girl when we had the store. She's 28 now. But she was at the store a lot.
Yeah.
Because when my husband would pick her up from school and bring her to the store. So she was always with us. And so she got to see how a business, operates, which she doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. She said it's too much work, but
It is.
she understands it.
Absolutely.
But she was always with us. And when people suggest things to her that are business related, she can respond with intelligent answers because she's seen it, so she gives people advice a lot of times just because she grew up in it, and she knows what it's all about. And it's good to what we did. My husband had sons that were older, and they lived with us, and we put them to work. We put, and we paid them, but everybody was involved. And like you said, you have your extended family, and everybody is involved, and that makes it not so stressful because you're still spending time with your family, even though you're
Right.
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 but that makes it.
Especially with the kids, I think, and
Yeah.
our daughters are a year apart, and so they spend a lot of time at the store, and they're developing a friendship because of that too. So
And that's a good
they
thing.
call each other cousin friends.
Yeah.
And so they're learning the bookstore business, but they're also like developing like a friendship, a rooted friendship. So that's really nice to see as well.
Okay, well, we're almost at the end of our time, so tell our viewers how they can connect with your store. Do you have a website or social media and all of that?
Yeah, we are a small place bookshop. .com. We're a small place bookshop on Instagram and TikTok. We do have an online bookshop so people can buy books from wherever we are, wherever they are, and we'll ship. We also have a bookshop.org account if people want to support us through bookshop.org or Libra FM. We're on all of those platforms. We definitely want people to give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok, and check us out. Jazz, add a thing.
Yeah, that you got it all. Oh, Interwoven. If you want to follow the boutique partner Interwoven, you can do that as well. So
Yeah,
they're
we didn't
both.
get a chance to talk about the interwoven,
It's all
but I did
connected.
go
It's
on
all
your
connected.
site and I saw some of the clothing. So they also have some authentic African print clothing and things on there, and they can tell you more about it if you go to their website
Yes.
and reach out to them. They'll tell you about that as well.
I'll just add this last little piece here.
Okay.
The connection for us is about stories, Black stories in all of its forms. And so we
Yeah.
tell stories through, of course, our literature, our poetry, things of that sort. We also tell stories through our fashion and how we choose to outwardly express ourselves. And so that is part of why it made sense for us to have two things kind of under the same space. But Gwen and Rhonda, we want to thank y'all for
You
curating this space for authors, for booksellers, for folk,
readers, yeah.
for readers. Y'all have been doing it, and we want to say thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate what y'all are doing, and for having us on this evening.
And we thank you for joining us
Absolutely.
tonight and sharing your story, because your story could be an inspiration to the many people who are listening to the show and will listen to the show throughout the week. So thank you
And if
for
you're
what
in
you're
the
doing.
and if you're in the area, go shop.
Check us out.
Yes,
Yes.
if you're
Check
in
us
Yeah.
out.
Atlanta, if you're in
And
Atlanta,
also we also placed your website in the chat. So
thank you.
everybody, please go and visit this bookstore, whether it be virtual or in person. Visit this bookstore, support this bookstore. We don't have a lot of Black bookstores.
Right.
And it's wonderful to see more opening up. So congratulations on that. And
Thank
that's
you.
free.
Thank
Right.
you so much.
Okay, have a great
Thank you,
evening.
ladies.
You
All right,
too.
good night, y'all.
Bye.